After leaving the Qin High Tibet Plateau, the Jinsha River sweeps past great mountains and canyons. Downstream stand Wudongde, Baihetan, Shiluodu, and Xiangjiaba, 4 world-class cascade hydropower stations. Here, thanks to the wisdom and competence of Chinese hydropower engineers, a bright future is being shaped for clean energy. China's strategy of prioritizing ecological conservation and boosting green development is a test of their determination, courage, and sense of duty. The green projects, as they evolve and advance, are reshaping the landscape thanks to a clean energy corridor, simultaneously safeguarding environmental protection. Since the Communist Party of China held its 18th National Congress in 2012, building an ecological civilization which is fundamental to China's sustainable development has been elevated to the level of national strategy. To prioritize ecological conservation and boost green development, China Three Gorges Corporation has established a comprehensive framework for eco-environmental protection. As the Jinsha River flows downstream, its watercourse narrows and currents become more rapid. Here, myriads of aquatic species adapted to such a unique environment call this place home. During breeding season, they migrate upstream to lay eggs. But now, the tall dams of the hydropower stations stand in their way. This poses a tough ecological challenge to every hydropower project here. In 2014, Gu Gongkai came to the site of the projected Wudongde hydropower station. Before that, he'd been working at the Three Gorges Dam for 7 years and the Chungxiaba hydropower station for nearly 10 years. He first worked at the lower reaches of Yangtze River, then at its upper reaches before coming to the lower reaches of Jinsha. Gu Gongkai put tremendous effort into enabling fish and other animals to get through the dams.
对于我们像乌东德近300米高的这个大坝，国内是没有直接过鱼的先例，所以在乌东德环境影响评价阶段，我们推荐的是常规的集鱼船方案，通过船舶占用诱捕鱼。但是在金沙江，特别是在我们乌东德区域，江面比较狭窄，水面呢流速非常大，就比较湍急，礁石也比较多。 这样我们分析呢，传统的这个集鱼船在我们这里就难以适用。于是我们就和这个设计单位一起在想办法，就想这个研发一种创新的过鱼方式，寻找一种更加安全、可靠、高效的集鱼方式。
To find the method, they started with the fish themselves. Given that the fish are inclined to follow the current, a potentially efficient solution would be to keep them in a part of the river where water flows rapidly. Soon, Gu Gongkai's team came up with an idea.
尾水固定集鱼寨在哪里修建呢？我们主要考虑几个方面的因素：一是我们选定的地方有没有鱼，能不能集到鱼，这是最关键的。我们切鱼现在在那个位置，大概离我们离岸边大概有多少距离？
离岸边大概就是20米，离水边20米，离我们现在站这个位置大概就是40米的话，然后下面上下也是有40米。
我们这个往下放的时候，这个垂线上就测3个点，
对
是吧？
测3个点的，一条线大概就是要5分钟，测5分钟。
个14.87，
有0.4的那个入水层。
选定的地方能不能按期修建完成，因为它涉及到水下修筑的问题，难度非常大。尾水集站的地方，我们现在探讨一下，就是说建的这个4号尾水这个地方是否合适。
After on-site investigations and repeated experiments, as well as detailed analysis of the flow field, fish distribution and migration routes, they arrived at a decision to build the fish-keeping pool at the outer area of number 4 tailwater outlet on the right bank. When gathering at the junction between the gentle and rapid currents, the fish enter the pool through an inlet before being transferred to the ground level via a jacking system.
你可以重心往前移一点，重心不要往外面啊。
In July 2019, the trial run for the pool began.
不准，准备就绪。
放。
The pool system went into activation. In 2 hours, whether it's effective or not would become clear. This fish collecting and transporting system, with its unique workflow and structure, was a first in China. For the team, this was the make or break moment.
我们心里虽然不敢说100%成功，但期望值还是非常高的。但是这个方式毕竟是首次创新设计和第一次试运行，心里还是非常忐忑。这不仅仅是对我们基于系统设计建设的一个检验，更重要的是我们能不能集到鱼，能不能实现对鱼类的保护，这是我们最终的目的，也是我们压力的根源。立功升吧。
The jacking system helped the fish get past the dam. The fish collected would be transported to the upper reaches by trucks and boats before being released safely back into the river.
狐狸过来了，你看很灵活啊，那个是起口，往角落里跑了。当我们看到鱼类在游动时，又能重新回到属于它们的上游江段，我们参建各方非常高兴，也非常激动。我们创新的尾水集育系统是成功的，是可行的，能够尽可能的减少因修筑大坝对鱼类阻隔的影响。这说明我们的努力，我们的付出是值得的。
The initial success at Wudongde showed that a fully fledged and complete fish collecting and transportation system could also be applied to the Baihuotan hydropower station. There's no lack pack of rare and endemic fishes in downstream Tinsha River. Indispensable to the river's food chain, they play a crucial part in balancing the ecological system of the river. To protect rare and endemic fishes, 8 species of fish, including Corius guichenotti and Leptobotia elongata, were listed as key targets for the fish collecting and transporting system.
有53公分，重量的话是1490克，这条鱼还是挺大的，鲈鲤。
After the collection, a selected school of fish would be transported downstream to a fish stocking station 4.5 kilometers away from the Wudongde Dam.
把它放整齐一点啊。
This is a nursery, specially built for preserving rare and endemic fishes.
大概是有秀和鲈鲤，一共是有9个鱼吧。 这里有5位，其中4位。
Tiang Hua has worked here for 6 years. During this time, his only companions, other than his colleagues, have been fish.
水电站的建设改变了一些鱼类的生活的条件，比如水流、水温、泥沙含量等等。所以我们建立鱼类增殖放流站，人为的创造满足这些鱼类生存发展的环境条件。一方面使这些鱼类的种群资源在人工条件下得以延续，另外一方面，我们放流部分鱼类回归自然水体，使自然资源得到补充和发展。
In order to expand the population of rare and endemic fishes downstream, the scientists at the station devoted their efforts to solving key technical problems.
全长
27厘米，
底长
24厘米。
好。我们所保护的这8种鱼类，由于历史的原因，我们这个地儿山高水远，以往的研究很少，所以我们的工作基本上是从零开始。那么通过我们这么多年的研究与摸索，我们知道这些鱼类的习性和要求，就像我们人一样，性格一样，也是千差万别的。那么其生活的环境差别很大。
Thanks to long and intensive study, the scientists gained an understanding of the biology and reproductive characteristics of several rare and endemic fishes living in downstream Tinsha River. Due to harsh working and living conditions, Tiang Hua was entitled to apply for a transfer at the end of his 3-year term. But in 2020, when that time had come, Tiang Hua felt reluctant to leave. His goals had yet to be achieved. More importantly, he couldn't bear to say goodbye to his fish. And then there was the critical egg-laying period. Tiang Hua's team was determined to care for the expectant mothers day and night.
把鱼塞开一下。
右边准备好了啊。45度角，打开一点。
The birth of a new life takes patience and care. A series of technical breakthroughs in induction of labor, incubation and illness prevention were made. So far, the station has mastered artificial breeding of numerous species, such as Schizothorax prenanti, Percocyprus pingi, Coreus quichinoti, Rhinogobio ventralis, and Leptobotia elongata. When the artificially bred fry reached a certain size, they'd leave the nursery at the station and be released into the Jinsha River. Since the station began operation at the end of 2014, over 780,000 fish have been released. Meanwhile, Jiang Hua's team is still developing artificial breeding technologies, working towards a new goal of releasing 1.05 million fish annually.
我是1985年参加工作，一直就是从事珍稀鱼类的保护与研究。说实话，我很喜欢和鱼类打交道。一转眼30几年也过去了，那么我们所工作的地方一直是远离了城市的喧嚣与干扰。我还有2年也就退休了，我有一种置身朝夕的感觉，希望抓紧时间，在最后不多的工作时间内，能够解决1个到2个的问题，对珍稀鱼类的保护也算是尽了自己的一份力吧。
To protect the fish, habitat is another important starting point. To this end, a smart management platform for ecological environmental protection has been built to properly manage ecological resources and keep the tailwater at temperature suitable for egg laying. Although these measures came at the cost of power generation, they play a critical role in protecting the aquatic ecosystem.
乌东德、白河滩2座巨型水电站也是绿色工程、生态工程，从集鱼到这个集运使得整个鱼类生态的保护达到了一个新的高度。这个在国内外第一次建造成功了，所以这个工程是环境工程的示范工程。
On the path to development and protection, every step forward has a widespread and far-reaching impact. Building hydropower stations and protecting the environment are for the well-being of local people. In their effort to protect the ecological environment, the hydropower workers care for what's by the river as much as what's in it. As of April the 6th, 2021, the Baihe Tan hydropower station started impounding. Before that, nearly 100,000 immigrants from Sichuan and Yunnan provinces were relocated from the reservoir to resettle beyond the flooded area. Accompanying them was a special group of riverside residents. Around April and May, blue-tailed bee-eaters would migrate to the valley downstream Jinsha River, where they would build nests, then breed inside holes carved out of the sandy cliffs at altitudes of 600 to 1,200 meters on both sides of the river. Come July and August, they would leave. The Baihe Tan hydropower station's normal water level is around 825 meters, meaning that some of the birds' nests at lower altitudes would be flooded.
Baihe Tan 水电站呢是一个超级工程， 而猎头蜂虎呢又是一个体型比较小的一个迁徙鸟类，所以它们两者之间有什么样的一个关联，一般人是很难想到的。那么在白鹤滩这个建设过程中呢，就是为了猎头蜂虎的这个营巢地的保护和修复啊，不仅仅是做了这个规划，而且是采取了实实在在的一个工程措施，所以这一点是让人比较意外的。退一点出来，再进。好，再进。
Liu Tiang and Liu Juntao are both ecologists from Yunnan University. They've been watching closely on the habitat of the blue-tailed bee-eater since 2012.
再转一下，好，再进。
They were invited to provide professional help for the protection of the blue-tailed bee-eater. With impounding approaching, urgent protective measures were taken within the flooded zone. As suggested by the experts, the part of the cliff for nest building was covered by a mesh to prevent the unknowing birds from moving in, thus reducing the loss of bird population due to flooding. When their old nests are unavailable, the blue-tailed bee-eaters will build new homes in other locations.
哎，王大哥你好，那个我们在哪里碰头呢？上次拍照呢我记得是好像过桥以后大概右转一。
But due to the limited number of sandy cliffs suitable for nest building, they needed to find a new settlement for the birds.
好的。
And no one knows this riverside better than the villagers who used to farm here.
前面一点就到了，最前面一点。
就这里啊？
前面一点。
就这个位置哈。
Asking them for help is undoubtedly the best way to identify sites.
看这里、那里、这一片都是像那个沙子，一片都是。
这块面积挺大的。中间这个范围内多一点。
By comparing soil hardness and sand content, a new settlement for the blue-tailed bee-eater was established upstream, some 4 kilometers from the old site. Sitting above the 825-meter water level with ideal distance and surrounding environment, this seemed the perfect place to relocate the birds to. Next, with the help of local forestry authorities, construction workers carved out a vertical wall about 7 meters high, simulating the natural form of a cliff.
但是会不会来，能来多少，这都是一个未知数。虽然我们也知道它不会马上立刻就来，但是我们还是很期待，所以3天2头呢就跑过去看一看。好，这边这个，好，下面当地老百姓知道这个事情以后呢，也表示出极大的关注，都希望这个猎头蜂虎能够马上来新的环境中来安家繁殖。
The blue-tailed bee-eater, colorful and agile, is considered one of the most beautiful birds in China. Despite their size, they're quite bold, constantly flying into local orchards to catch moths and dragonflies, whilst maintaining a close relationship with humans. The locals, having been used to the company of this adorable little creature, are expecting to see them again this year. days after the completion of the construction work, Liu Xiang was pleasantly surprised to find a small round-shaped hole in the cliff. The first blue-tailed bee-eater had settled into its new home. In just 2 weeks, over 100 nests appeared on the artificial cliff, and afterwards, the number just kept growing. After the artificial habitat plan panned out, it was soon adopted in many places. The nearly 12,000 cubic meters of material they dug out was then used for projects like road construction.
它用挖机把它坡度要大一点、陡一点，这个鸟更喜欢在上面打洞，就是接近90度，它更容易做窝，对不对？
As the birds within the flooded area moved to their new homes, their old homes outside the area were being reconstructed too.
猎户蜂虎迁徙过来以后呢，会在它的旧巢区附近呢打新的洞穴进行繁殖。那么旧的洞穴呢，由于这个杂草的生长或者下雨流水的侵蚀呢，已经不太适合使用了。但是干热河谷区这个水土保持的要求，又决定了不能够进行大规模的这个开挖，也就是说，不能够为它提供大量的人工的崭新的这种生境。那么对旧巢区的这个清理和改造，就是一个比较可行的一个途径了。比如包括对它这个旧巢区的巢穴表面进行一些轻微的挖掘，然后对杂草进行清除，形成一个裸露度比较高的崖面。这样一方面就是给蜂虎提供了这个比较多的选择的空间，就是尽可能的减少对当地农业用地啊、人居环境的影响。那么实际这样做的效果也是比较好的。
By May, the birds had started laying eggs in their new homes. Soon the fledglings would be learning how to fly with their mothers before returning to their habitat in the south. But not before they'd got a chance to enjoy the view created by the impounding of the Baihetan hydropower station.
东川的这个石团，猎猴蜂虎的石团里面能看得到什么呢？
我们这个东川的样本，我发现这个食物残渣里面蜻蜓的翅膀占的这个比例比较大一点。
目前呢，我们已经采取了一些有效的措施去保护它的集群营巢地。另外呢，我们还在对它的食性和行为在开展研究。食性方面呢，我们主要是对它的食团进行形态分析和分子检验，想要明确它的确切的食物种类，这样我们能够倒推和繁衍它的食物来源，为我们下一步去恢复和重建猎猴蜂虎的实验地提供理论指导。行为方面呢，我们主要是想要搞清楚它的日常的活动范围和它的活动节律，可以为我们下一步它的保护面积的规划和功能布局提供数据支撑。总之，我们想要通过我们的保护，让猎猴蜂虎在这个区域能够吃得好、住得好，一代一代繁衍下去，这样才能达到我们的保护目的。
In areas like seacoasts or riverbanks, the blue-tailed bee-eater plays a positive role in balancing the ecological system, and it has been designated wildlife under state protection. According to the monitoring data, not only didn't the number of blue-tailed bee-eaters in the dry hot valleys along the Tinsha River decrease due to the Baihetan project, it actually grew considerably. Because of its climate, the Tinsha River region suffers from an extremely uneven rainfall. It's arid and hot during dry season, with heavy precipitation during the rainy season. And due to the complexity and fragility of its geological environment, the steep banks of the river are severely eroded by tides, making it historically susceptible to geological disasters. Here, life and property were in constant danger.
机载雷达准备好了，无人机准备好了，资料准备好了。
Xiang Shu and his colleagues were in a haste to leave for Xiluogu township in Yinnan County. A while ago, a local villager had sent them an ominous message. A crack had appeared on a slope near the Baihetan Reservoir.
崔工，老乡已经把这个裂缝的定位已经发给我了。我看了一下，大概是在吉罗沟沟口左岸的这个边坡上。老乡觉得可能有点危险，这块的地质条件你们了不了解啊？是这样的，这个地方呢是碎石混合土边坡为主，然后去年这块好像是有一条裂缝，不知道老乡说的是不是同一条？这一片有没有什么这个人员活动啊，或者是什么基础设施呢？那附近好像就有个养殖场，耕地那些都没有的。大家做好这个爬山的准备吧，一会儿。
For the safety of the people in the reservoir area, as well as prevention of geological disasters in downstream Tinsha River, the China Three Gorges Corporation founded a department for geological disaster prevention in 2013. Xiang Shu can't even remember how many times he's rushed to the site like this.
赶紧上车！
Having worked in the area for years, Xiang Shu's team knows these roads all too well. Yet the half-hour ride felt like forever for Xiang Shu. Every year, the flood season from June to October keeps Xiang Shu and his colleagues on their toes. The crack may have been caused by unstable terrain. This is a matter that needed to be dealt with the utmost urgency. After the car arrived at the foot of the mountain, they had to walk to the location where the crack appeared. The ground underneath their feet being part of the unstable structure. For Xiang Shu and his team, wading through geological disasters is the norm. But the danger lurking between their feet is as nothing to the potential danger posed by this unknown crack.
这儿裂缝，你看一下，就这儿。好的，我们观察一下。宽度大概是30公分，这个地方深度大概是50公分。
Their preliminary conclusion after the field investigation was that the crack wasn't new and had been documented in 2020 during a routine check for latent hazards.
这个是晋南北线的，黔东的。这边的话是我们这个今年刚刚测量的一个。
By making comparison with previous monitoring data, they discovered no obvious change to the crack. Xiang Shu felt relieved, finally.
老乡，我们在这个裂缝的两边啊，各给它钉一颗钉子哈。大概是垂直的一个方向。
好的。
你定期的话用卷尺测量一下两颗钉子之间的距离，好吧？
可以。
然后你注意记录一下，如果说这条裂缝有发展的话，你要及时的报告给我们，好吧？
行。
有时候是会发生这样的情况，虚惊一场，但是我们还是很感谢这些村民。我们经常说，地灾防治没有单打独斗的英雄。 你一天再能跑，你又能跑多少个地方嘛？所以还是要靠库区的这些群众给我们提供信息，我们来做现场调查和技术分析，来守护他们的安全。
By working with local government and people, the prevention of geological disasters has become more thorough and efficient. The Baihetan hydropower station reservoir, along with its main stream and tributaries, has a vast bank. Over 500 kilometers long, and of those, a section of 175 kilometers requires regular examination, which usually takes a week or so. The 137 designated sections for measuring and prevention at Baihetan have largely made up for the shortage of manpower.
它打上2个点，如果说裂缝发展变得大了，那么我们人就要及时撤出来，对不对？
The locals who help with measuring and prevention will report their findings at once, and in case of an emergency, the government will intervene and evacuate the civilians in time. Besides manpower, technology is also a key factor. By using laser radar carried by a drone, an all-around three-dimensional scan of the target area is done to ensure high-precision emergency monitoring, giving Seung Shu's team the ability to see not just far into the distance, but also X-ray vision. Over 400 professional-level monitoring devices are watching over 51 key banks at the 4 reservoirs on downstream Tinsha River. Technologies such as satellite, remote sensing, automatic monitoring of surface displacement are used to ensure safety. The data is retrieved via wireless networks at all times, making sure the workers don't miss even the smallest variation in geological status.
这边我看底下好像是输入的有机盐，这边大概岩层是什么？
对，这边岩层主要就是板岩和铅。
As of August 4th, 2021, the Baihe Tan, a boat patrol aimed at geological disaster prevention, officially began operating, marking the establishment of a multi-dimensional prevention system. Once again, the efficiency of bank area inspection had been improved and elevated to another level. Everything considered, prevention of geological disaster is a job that requires 24/7 focus.
我已经记不清有多久我的手机没有关过机了，养成了一个睡眠很浅的习惯。我们越警觉的话，我觉得就有更多的人能够过得更加的踏实和安心。
Everyone who works in geological disaster prevention knows that their duty is to keep the people in the reservoir areas safe. That's what keeps them going. Unusual climate and complex terrain not only induce geological disaster, but as a result of continuous water and soil loss, render the surface of the earth too shallow for plants to grow, especially in the dry hot valleys found in the downstream course of the Tinsha River, where rocks and red soil at the banks of the canyons are often exposed. In such an extreme environment, few trees can survive and live to 100 years old. Throughout his career, Wang Xiaoming has worked at countless hydropower stations, yet he still vividly remembers when he first came to the downstream Tinsha River area in 1990. In 2014, as environmental impact assessment for Baihe Tan was about to finish, Wang Xiaoming, who had been participating in the assessment work, was invited to lead the environmental protection effort.
我以前是做环评，主要就是对这些水电开发这些项目带来什么样的环境影响进行分析评价，同时要提出减免这种负面环境影响的一些措施方案。现在呢，就是主要去组织落实这些环保的一些要求，把当初图纸上和报告里边的这些环保的方案变成现实，而且能够看到他们发挥环境保护效果的话，觉得还是很期待的。
这是一棵就是黄葛树
啊，就是那一棵啊古树，
这棵树也有100多年了。
黄葛树是我们南方一个广泛分布的一个树种。
对。
那我们分头测一下，然后定个位。你们两位从这边上去测一下这个树的胸径。好，大家分头行动。
Today, protecting the rare ancient trees along the Tinsha River is part of Wang Xiaoming's job. There were in total 345 ancient trees in both the construction area and the flooded area of Baihe Tan. Based on the environment impact assessment, the trees must be moved to a safe location before construction and impounding can begin. Wang Xiaomin, though familiar with the process, found it difficult to carry this out in practice. Over 300 ancient trees were scattered across the valley. Even the loss of one would be a loss of great significance. To prevent any tree loss, they carefully documented every tree, listing coordinates on the basis of a detailed survey and establishing a file for each individual tree. Then, on the basis of that information and on indicators such as variety and individual characteristics, they made a specific plan for ideal locations for transplantation. Preparation alone took them several months to complete.
我们通常都说人挪活，树挪死嘛，那这些树我们从挖起来那一刻的话，其实它的生死就是我们的一个责任。
To guarantee the survival of all those century-old trees, every step of the transplanting process was undertaken with extreme care. Like the crown of a tree, its roots spread in all directions underground. For the purposes of transportation, roots and branches need to be trimmed and the cuts made, protected from infection. Even when trimmed, the trees still weighed tons.
相对于水电站建设，我们移栽古树的话是相对简单的事情，但是这种简单的事情要做好它，也不容易。而且我们这种古树都是100年以上的树林，它记录了我们环境一个长期的演变，我们俗称它是活化石。我们保护好古树的话，对于维护我们整个流域的景观的完整性，还有我们生物的多样性的话，具有重要的作用。
In April 2021, the transplantation was complete.
把这边这个遮阳布先挡了，好，那边拉过来。
58 ancient trees were replanted in the hydro junction area, the other 200 moving along with the locals into the county town or the resettlement. Quite apart from beautifying the environment, they provided a sense of familiarity for the new home.
很多移民是认识这些古树的，这些古树的话，有的分布在他们的房前屋后，有的在田间地头，或者上学的时候一个集合的地点。我们把树保护下来了，又会勾起他们对以前人生的一些美好的回忆，他们会觉得很惊喜，我们也觉得很欣慰。
The old trees are a symbol of nostalgia and human touch. Today, thanks to the painstaking and persistent efforts of the workers, every single one of the ancient trees is vibrant with life. Those who work in the hydropower industry are builders of both infrastructure and a river-based ecological civilization. To restore the ecological environment of the Baihetan hydro junction area and improve its landscaping, a project was scheduled. In May 2018, a design concept named Beautiful Baihetan was officially unveiled.
白鹤滩水电站作为一个巨型电站，它工程的宏大形成了独特的工程美。地处干热河谷区域，结合工程的生态美，打造工程的人文美。
It's not just a mega project, but also an innovative and green one. In October 2020, planning for the beautiful Baihe Tan design was complete. The ecological forest, the botanical garden, the exhibition hall, the cultural theme park and other facilities are to be constructed in coordination with the main project. Based on local conditions, 3 scenic spots are also to be built at 3 locations along the dam.
水电作为我国可再生清洁能源的主要组成部分，双碳目标过程中发挥了非常重要的作用。我们在水电开发过程中必须遵循自然、顺应自然、保护自然，实现美丽工程、美丽河川、美丽中国的建设目标。
Currently, a total area of nearly 4 million square meters of the Baihe Tan hydrojunction area has been recovered, and over 2.8 billion yuan has been invested in environmental protection. As well as protecting the natural environment in the region, the workers continue to explore new ways of balancing infrastructure construction with environmental protection. In a way, the Jinsha River resembles the scroll of an ancient Chinese painting, unfolding across the vast landscape of the country, with the 4 hydropower stations at its lower reaches adding their own touch of brilliance.